Hello everyone. So I accidentally found this animation in UberEats, so we can swipe left and remove items that we don't need. So here in this video, we are going to try this animation using React Native. So let's get started. So I have done the initial implementation of this component, so then we can straight away go ahead and do the animation part. So I'll walk through what I have done so far. So initially I have used these two packages, gesture handler and reAnimated. These are the versions. If I go into app.tsx, so here I have added two objects, food items, and then here I have used basic components to render them out, and we have also used flat list, and we have a separate component for food item. So here I have used these couple of constant variables. So first one is item height, that's the height of single item. And then we have delete button width, even though it's not being used at the moment, that will be coming over here where we have the red button with the remove item text. And the swipe threshold means how much this item can be swiped to the left. So then we have a couple of more components again to visualize this text, and you might wonder why we have this component in a container instead of just using the container view. So we will be adding more components over here while we are doing the animation, so that's why this stuff is wrapped inside this view component. All right, so let's start adding the animations. So first let's add the swipe animation. So we need to swipe these items to left. So to do that, first let's add PanGesture handler. So this is coming from reAnimated gesture handler. Then we are going to use a property on gesture event. Let's use a variable. Here we are going to use this use animated gesture handler hook, again coming from it's coming from use animated React reAnimated. Here we need to pass two properties, actually types. So the first one is gesture PanGesture handler gesture event, and the other one is context type. For the moment I'll add a type over here, context type, and yeah, it will be empty for now. Here we have on start, so I'm going to just add this for now, and then we are going to use on active. I'll explain what are these options does in a bit. On end, all right. So I'll add a dependency array, empty array as well. So then this part triggers when we tap on each of these items. So if I add a console logo here, you will see on start, and here also on active, here on end. Okay, it's working now. So if I tap on it, you can see this part triggers, and if I drag, this on active part triggers, and then on end part triggers. So then here what we are gonna do is, let's add another variable, transfer. You can use shared value from reAnimated. So the initial value would be 0, and then we have to add it over here. Here we are going to use translation X. I'm going to remove console logs. Then here we can add R in a container. So here we are going to use another hook coming from reAnimated. So this is how we are changing the styles using reAnimated2 and above. So earlier we didn't have this, earlier version of reAnimated didn't have this kind of hooks. Here we are gonna transform. Let's add it over here. Let's see how it works. Yep, it's working. But we can see that if I stop dragging it, and if I start dragging it again, it starts from the beginning. So that's not good. So what we are going to do is, we have to use this context. So this context means we can store some data and use it in different methods over here. So if I store a context from here, so then now we can use this type. Let's name it as translate x. It's a number, and then we can use it over here, translate x, and I'm gonna name it trans x dot value. So initial value will be stored. So here what's gonna be then? So it's gonna be the initial value of this component. So initially it will be 0. Then we are gonna add it over here. So then what will happen is, we are gonna add into the initial value, we are gonna add in the new values. So let's see how it works. Reload. Okay, then you can see it start from where it was at the last time. All right. So you can see here now, if I swipe, I can swipe until it goes away from the screen. So we need to make sure we cannot scroll beyond the threshold point. So initially I have defined this threshold, swipe threshold, and it's basically the width of the delete button. So to handle that logic, let's add a condition over here. Trans x value is greater than swipe threshold. So I have added a negative sign over here to make this entire value positive. So if I show you how that trans x value changes, you will see it's a negative value. So I added a negative sign to make it positive, and then here for now I'm just gonna return nothing, and for the else let's add this part. All right, let's see how it works. Yes, I cannot go beyond the threshold point now. So even though I can't go beyond the threshold point, it doesn't look good in the user experience perspective. It's just stopped from the threshold point. So let's add a nice animation over there to make it looks like there's a resistance when the user tries to go beyond the threshold point. So instead of return, let's add a variable over here. So I'm gonna add a small logic. I'll explain what it does in a bit. So I'm gonna add this temp value to trans x value with using this with timing utility. So it is coming from reAnimated. So the initial parameter will be temp, and I'm gonna add the duration as 0. So here basically what happens is, now this part is similar, it's actually this one, and this is the new part. So here what I've done is I have added this 0.005 to make this value smaller, and I'm adding this entire small value to the current trans x value. So in this way, what happens is, you will see, I'm dragging. So after that threshold point, the speed of the swipe reduces. So then the user feels like there's a resistance. So we have to make it more smooth. So we'll add more animation stuff later. So for now, you can see there's a resistance. So next what we are going to do is, we need to make sure once we release the finger, it goes back to the threshold point. So to do that, we need to go to onEnd method, and there let's add trans x value. Let's add bit timing here as well, and let's add swipe threshold. Make sure you add the negative sign over here. I'm adding 300 millisecond, and for easing, let's add quad. So you can play around with these values and also this value. Okay, I'm gonna release. You can see it goes back to the threshold point. All right. So next up is, we need to make sure if I release from here, it goes back to the original position, which is here. So to do that, again, I'm going to add a condition over here. I need to make sure this translation x value is less than half of the threshold point. Here also let's add a animation. We need to go to the origin point, which is 0. Here also I'm going to use code just for fun. And here let's use else, put it over here. Yeah, it's working. I'm gonna release. Yeah, it's going back to the origin point. If I release from here, it goes back to the threshold point. Alright, so next step is, you can see I can go beyond the origin point to right. That's bad. So we have to fix it. To fix that, let's add a logic over here. We need to make sure this trans x value is more than 0. If it is more than 0, we have to make it 0 and return. We don't need to execute the rest of the code below. So let's see how it works. Yeah, I can't go to right, and also I can't go to left initially, so we have to fix it. So to fix that, we need to make sure we are going to, we are swiping left. So we should track to which direction we are swiping. So to do that, so let's add is swapping left variable. So for that, I'm gonna use, we have to track the translation x values. So to do that, I'm gonna add a new value over here. Let's say previous x, also a number. So I'm gonna store that value over here. So it's gonna be basically the translation x value. So once we execute this method once, at the end, I'm gonna store the current translation x value is into this previous x. So when we are executing this part, so that we can get the previous translation x value. So here we can use that previous x is greater than translation x. This means if this value is greater means, so you have to remember this value is also negative, this value is also negative. So if we are swiping left means this value, this negative value is greater than this. So if it is so, this should be true. So I am adding and not is swiping left. Let's see. Still, I cannot, initially I cannot swipe to the left. Now I am trying to swipe, but it doesn't, the item doesn't swipe. So there's a problem. Let's see what is the problem. Yeah, you can see even though I'm swiping left, it says false. So there is a problem. So now it works. but initially it doesn't work. So to fix that, what we can do here is we can add this. So initially this value is 0, or not 0 actually, this is undefined. So because of that, this becomes false. So now I have fixed it. Let's see how it works. Yeah, now I can swipe and I can't go beyond the origin point to right. So now you can see here, if I go beyond the threshold point and now I'm trying to go to right, see how it works. Still the food item goes to left. That's bad. So we need to fix it. So the issue here is that since now we are beyond the threshold point, still this condition works. So based on this logic, we are always going to left. So we need to make sure that this logic only works when we are moving to left. So we have already defined the variable for that to figure out which direction we are swiping. So we can use it over here. Let's see how it works. Yeah, the existing issue was gone, but there's a new issue came up. So once I try to go to right, the item is moved to somewhere else, and from that point onward it tries to move to right. So that's not good. We have to fix it. So the reason actually is that when I try to move to right, it goes to the else condition. So I'll show you how this translation x and the trans x dot value changes. Let's comment this out for now, and here let's add translation x and our trans x value. Now here you can see the trans x value and the translation x value and the trans x value is almost the same below the threshold point. So if I go beyond the threshold point, you can see there's a difference. The reason is this translation x value, the event dot translation x value is actually, it is actually the cursor point where the finger is actually is on the screen. So trans x dot value is actually the point where the food item is at on the x-axis. So there's a difference now. You can see a huge difference. So when I now try to go to right, the else condition triggers, and because of that, the food item start from somewhere else instead of starting from this current point. See, so we have to fix that. So I hope you understood the issue there. So to fix that, I'm going to add a new condition over here. So here we need to make sure we go inside this point after executing if condition. Or in other words, we have to make sure we are swapping right after we hit the threshold point, or rather we go beyond the threshold point. So you will understand fully once I added the conditions. So here I'm gonna use a context, and I'm gonna use a new value over here, temp. So I'm gonna cache that value. So that's a number again. So it's up to you to name whatever the name you want. So I just want to make sure that there's a temp value. So there's a temp. So the understanding over here is we need to make sure there's a temp value, which means this logic is already been executed. So if there's a temp value, we have to add a trick over here. So I'm gonna add this logic. So I'll explain this in a bit. Okay. So what I have done here is, so I'm gonna deduct this much of value from the current trans x value. So which means now you saw that the translation x value is far less once we scroll beyond the threshold point. So we have already we are storing this previous x value. So here the difference is actually how much, this is actually the difference, right? How much we have swiped left or right. So I'm gonna actually reduce that value from trans x, because this condition will trigger only when we go to right. Let's see how it works. Yeah, now it's working. So now when I try to swipe right, this else if the newly created condition will trigger, and this difference is, here the difference means how much we swipe to right is added to trans x value. So from there we can actually fix the issue we have. Still it has a little bit of issues, so we have to fix those things. So once the thing is released from the screen, we need to make sure that this temp value is getting 0. So let's add it over here, 0 plus, let's see how it works. Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, it's working. So basically now this swiping part is done, I guess. Let's add the rest of the animations. So next, let's add the delete button, the red button. So let's name it delete container as the style object, and let's put over here delete container, and let's add a couple of styles over here, making position absolute, and right should be 0, and the background color, let's add light gray. Align item, let's add flex end. Height, let's set 100% for now, and let's see how it goes. Here the width will be the delete button width. Alright, let's swipe. Yeah, we have the gray color view over here. So next, inside this view, let's add another view, which is the red button. Actually, we don't need this. So here, let's add delete inner container maybe. All right. Here also let's add position absolute and background color. I'm gonna add a red color over here. So the border radius, I'm gonna add 200. Center and center. And I'm gonna add overflow hidden. Oh, let's just don't do that right now. Let's see how it works. Yeah, still we cannot see it because we haven't provided width or height. So that width and height is actually coming via the animations. So to do that, let's add a new style over here. So we have to define it. Okay, here let's say delete view styles. Okay, and here let's see what we can do. We have to change the width, and then so I'm just adding the transx value to the width and height, and I've added the minus sign over here to make it positive. So let's see so far how it works. So I'm gonna add this over here, and let's add R at the beginning just for fun. Okay, yeah, we need to make sure this is the animated view. All right, let's see how it works. Yep, it looks all right. So it is a circle because we have added border radius over here. But once we go to this point, still we can see the circle look. So let's add some scaling over here. Scale. I'm going to use interpolate. It's actually coming from reAnimated. So here the initial, or rather the change in value be trans x. Here the array, the input array. So here I'm gonna add some values over here. See, you can play around with these values and pick the best one for you. So then we have to add the output array. So this is how the scaling would change. And then I'm gonna add the extrapolation clamp. So this input array means how this trans x value changes. And the output array means based on this input array, how this scale will apply. So for an example, if the trans x value is 0, the scale will be 1. And if the input, the trans x value is this much, then the scale will be this. And if the trans x value is delete 1 with, then the scale will be 1.2. So the between values will calculated from the interpolate, so it's kind of like a graph. So based on those values, this the scale value will change. So transform, we have to use scale. Yeah, let's see how it works. Yep, looks all right to me. All right, it's working fine. Yep, cool. All right. So the next step is to add the button, the text and stuff. So let's use touchable opacity because it's easy for me. Here we need to add some text. So here I'll add minus. You can add a icon from React Native vector icons if you like. For now, I'm just gonna add minus. So let's add some styles over here. Minus icon. All right. Here let's add font size. Color is in white. Font weight 600. And let's add some styles to our button as well. So let's name it text container maybe. And here for the height, let's use item height, and the position will be absolute. Justify content center, and align items also center. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's still there. We need to do some animations over there. So far all okay. So let's add some animation to our button. So we need to make this animatable component. So let's edit over here. Animated touchable opacity, and from reanimated we can create animated components, and then we can use it over here. All right, and then let's add some animations to it. So we need to change the position actually. So to do that, instead of let's say change the position, let's change the width. Text container, animated style, okay, return. So let's change the width of our body. So I'm gonna edit over here. So let's see how it works. Yep, it's all right. And then you can see when it is smaller, it is not good, but it doesn't center, but we'll fix it. So to fix that, let's add animated text over here, and here also let's add some animations. Let's see text minus icon. Let's copy this. Alright, so instead of width here, we are going to change the opacity. So to change the opacity, we are going to use interpolate, and we are going to add our sex value as the first parameter, and here also I'm going to add some values. Alright, then the output will be 0.4.7 and 0. Again, let's add extrapolation clamp. Alright, let's see how it works. We have an error. We can't add any one. We have to use it. Alright. Yep, looks alright to me. So we can also add a scale animation to it to make it looks nice. Transform. Here, let's cut scale. Rest we can the inputs. I'll change it a little bit. So we have 3 inputs. So because of that, to make sure this is also 3. Alright, let's see how this works. Yep, you can see it scales up and it disappears. Looks alright. Next up is let's add the remove item button. Sorry, not the button, the text. Remove item, and here let's add remove as the style. Let's find it. Oops, remove. So here let's add position, absolute, font size 14, color white, font weight 600. So we have to use the same kind of animation to it as well. So here let's name it remove text. Let's copy paste this and let's change the name to our remove, and then we don't need transform, and here let's add some animations over here. So I'm gonna add a couple of values over here, so you can play it around and figure out the best values you need for your requirement. One, two, three, 4. We have 4 inputs. So let's add 2.0. and then for the outputs 0, 1, 1. All right, let's see how it works. Yep, looks all right, but still there are improvements we can do. Next point is, let's make sure that when the user tap on this remove item button, this food item entirely goes to left. So to do that, let's trigger the on press and let's add a press, and let's add a function over here. All right, let's we don't need to pass anything, so I'll put it as it is, and then we need to make sure we are moving to device with here it's minus. Let's see how it goes. Yep, it works, but no animations, which is bad. Let's add some animations over here. So instead of doing this, let's do something like, let's use with spring this time. It's actually again coming from reAnimated. Let's add device width, and for the configurations I'm not going to touch that. Yeah, let's see how it works. Yep, looks all right. There's a small spring as well. All right, so okay, next what we are going to do is let's add another text for removing text. Here I'm going to keep the remove as it is, and let's change it to removing. So I'm going to copy paste this, and here let's change this value a little bit. All right, okay, let's see how it works. All right, looks okay. Now we need to make sure this item goes out from the list. So anyway, we have this handle press function, so we need to call a function over here to remove that item. So here we can say on remove. So I have already added that to the props. So we can call from here as well, data and on remove, and then we can say on remove, and we can pass the ID. It says it's optional value, so yeah, now all good. So here let's add handle remove, and here we will be getting the ID. ID will be a number. So next what we are going to do is we have to update the state. Set our state, preview state. Let's see filter item.id is not the ID we are interested in. So then we are going to filter it out and the rest will be re-rendered. So let's see how it works. Yeah, it works, but not the way we want. So we need to make sure this part executes after this string animation is finished. So we have this callback function over here, so we can add this inside the callback. Let's see how it works. Yeah, we are getting an error over here because now see these animations are happening in the UI thread. So this part, this logic is actually happening in the JavaScript thread. So we need to tell the reAnimated this part needs to be handled in the JavaScript thread. So to do that, we have to use run on JS function, and we need to pass this over here. All right, let's see how it goes. It's all right, but still we can do some improvements by adding another animation over here to reduce the width of the item and then it goes away. So to do that, let's define a new shared value, view height. Initially it's the item height. So here instead of this, we need to make sure this value goes to 0. So that's the overall idea. So then we need to actually animate this particular component. So let's add animated view and let's add our animated values here as well. Alright, let's copy paste. So here it's the height. Let's remove this and here let's add with timing. Here it's view height dot value, duration let's say 300, and here for the callback let's add on remove and the logic over here. It's alright, let's see whether it's working. Okay, we have a problem over here. So yeah, so the initially the view height is anyway the item height. So when this component renders for the first time, this part triggers, and then these functions will be triggered as well. So all the items in the states will be removed. So we need to make sure this part triggers when the view height is 0. All right, let's see. So I have done a mistake over here. So we need to make sure this is view height value, and I have added this to our own component actually. So it should be this one. All right, let's see. Yep, looks all right. So let's add opacity as well with timing. If this is 0, opacity will be 0 and otherwise 1. All right. Yep, looks all right to me. All right. So the last part is that you can see here, if I try to scroll up and down the flat list, it doesn't scroll because we have added this PanGestures handler. So we need to fix it. So to fix that, instead of using flat list from React Native, we need to use it from reAnimated gesture handler. So then we need to pass the references from PanGestures handler component to flat list and the flat list reference to PanGestures handler. Then they will figure out how to scroll. So to do that, let's add flat list ref. Let's add null, and here we need to pass it to flat list, and then the same time we have to pass it to our components, food items. So before that, let's add it to our props. So there's a better way of doing this. Extends. So we are picking the props available in this PanGestures handler, and then we can easily use it over here. This simultaneous handlers, and we are passing our flat list ref. And from here, we need to pass the ref of the PanGestures handler to flat list. So here ref, we need to create a new function. I'm just gonna call it pass ref and pass the ref. Here, let's add it. So we need to add a type over here. All right, and then we need to import it to the component, and then we have missed that we have to add the simultaneous handler where we pass our flat list ref to here. Yeah, then here we need to use pass ref, and here it's the ref, and then here we need to create a new ref. Let's say pan ref for now. So initially, let's say undefined, and here let's copy this, add it over here, and then here pan ref dot current ref, And yeah, that's it. Let's see how it works. Okay, here I have missed one part. So we need to use the simultaneous handlers from the fat list and pass our pandas. Let's see now. Yep, it's working now. All good. Yeah, animations is also working. So I hope you guys have learned something new. If you have, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you guys feel like there's an easier way, better way of doing this animation, share your ideas in the comment section so we all can learn together. And that's all from this video. And I'll come up with a new video soon. And until then, cheers.